the lovely Victoria, who's also from the Digital Boost team, and we'll be taking you guys through a how-to session on working remotely with your team, which clearly is really important now, and it's something that's growing. So yeah, any questions, leave them in the chat or in the comments if you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. We'll get them probably at the end, but yeah, just any thoughts, questions along the way. Yeah, it's really good to see you guys, and Victoria, let you take the stage.
Fantastic. Thanks, team, and good morning. I'm just going to share my screen and we'll get started. Tip, you can see that, eh?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Fantastic. Okay, so I guess today's topic is a topic we actually all know really well now. So work remotely with your team. I've put team, but as we know, for a lot of people using Digital Boost, they're one-man bands or have a small team. But I guess we all know that it's more important than ever that we can stay connected with colleagues, employees, or any collaborators to our business. So no matter what your business or industry or your position or role now, you need to be able to work together effectively and efficiently, whether you're in the same room or miles apart. So remote working styles, it's nothing new and it's become the norm for many in the tech and creative sectors. But after the onslaught of sort of COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdowns, this put working remotely into hyperdrive for all businesses, large or small. And there's absolutely no doubt that there are occasions when we all want and we need to feel in the same space. We love face-to-face to tackle particular tasks or discussions around certain topics. And for many of us, we really want to be together so that we can read the room or get a sense of how someone feels through their body language and gestures. So it's quite tough just adjusting, but we've done it a couple of times now. So now with lockdowns and restrictions beyond our control, we've had to and will continue to look for ways to work seamlessly together when we can't be physically together. Now, fortunately for us all, there's an abundance of digital tools we can use in our lives to help with this. And even more are being developed and brought out, it seems, almost daily. So how do we even start to choose the right tools for our business that will meet our needs? For me, I think if we remember, one of the main purposes that we have to focus on is when we're working remotely is to maintain that communication. So communication is still, I think, key to everything we do. So what I would say is think about how you and your team like to communicate. What are the processes and procedures you already have in place that work for you? Daily meetings, one-on-ones, brainstorming for ideation, looking at data, reviewing the numbers. If those things work for you, stick to them and just find a digital solution that can help you do this. You don't need to change everything just because you're working remotely. Now, digital tools are there to help as an option to enable us to work efficiently and perhaps streamline and remove unnecessary admin. But you must have robust processes and procedures that these online applications support. Starting to use a new messaging service or collaboration tool isn't going to magically fix or create a process that works for you. So you're still going to have to work things out and test and evaluate. And remembering the digital tools, they're there to support your business. Please also remember that it's probably best practice to build up to using any of these new systems. It's not always that you can just stop any practice you've already have, and sometimes it's the best thing that really you just need to pick up the phone if you want to communicate with someone or send a text. Even though we have all of these digital tools, sometimes it's really worth just picking up the phone or sending a text message if you need to make sure that someone knows that you need their attention. Also, try not to limit every interaction or engagement to one platform. It's still best to follow up with an email to ensure that the details, decisions, and actions are recorded in your CRM or another database or system that you're using that you can go back to at a later date. There are also many options, as I said, and choices on the market for you. Some we're going to look at today is Slack. So Slack is great for chat. We're going to look at Zoom. Zoom is still the leader for now for meetings. And then obviously the big players, Google Workspace and Microsoft Suite are the big ones when it comes to documents, docs, spreadsheets, presentations, slides, and storage as well. But there are so many others out there. So the best we can do is to be open to developments, and especially in these times of change. At the end of the day, choosing online tools for your business is just another business decision and should be given the same consideration as you do to other aspects, especially if you're going to need to pay a subscription. But this can generally be avoided for most small businesses. So let's have a look at some of the tools I just mentioned. So the first one is Slack. Slack is a great web-based and app-based messaging tool. It's got all the capabilities you need. Text chat, video calling. You can attach files, images, and GIFs. I'm a big lover of GIFs, as my colleagues will tell you. So for many businesses and organizations, they use this for team communications when they're working remotely or not. For the next one is Zoom. We all know about Zoom. We got zoomed out, there was Zoom fatigue, there was lots of new terminology. Zoom, as we'll know, it's a cloud-based video conferencing service that we're on right now. You can use to meet with others either by video, you can use it for audio or both. Zoom still dominates the video conferencing space, and the majority of webinars and online events use this platform. There are numerous plans and pricing to suit your business needs. It still leads the way, and it really did save the day when lockdown first started at the beginning of 2020, when it gave businesses and especially education the ability to talk through presentation slides like you were in the same room via screen sharing. Now, there are also Google Meet and MS Teams who've caught up and pretty much matched the capabilities of both Slack and Zoom. So again, best foot forward is to look at what you're already using and see what's available and fits the needs. So also let's remember that there is more to working remotely than digital tools. It's also making sure that the people, your friends, colleagues, employees, employers, collaborators, everyone has the need, has what they need to get the most out of this time. And the online solutions that you're choosing are just supporting this. So I wanted to touch on this a little bit. So successful remote working is really about the people as well. So we probably need to think about some of these issues that we can talk about with our teams, not just the tools we're using. So I just put together just a little list. So I think a big thing is work together to set out a schedule with guidelines and try to stick to it to main regular hours. Maybe after my presentation, we can just have a quick chat about lockdown and whether your hours just escalated a little out of control. We suddenly found ourselves, or at least I did, and many of my colleagues did, at home with partners who work and need to be online, homeschooling kids, dogs that are used to being at daycares or being taken out. So it really is really good to not only think about the digital tools, but also set some schedules and guidelines about when you're going to be working, what tools you're going to be working with, and just managing expectations on all sides. I found really helpful creating a morning routine that gets you started for each work day. So something that really draws the line and says, okay, I've stopped being mum now, stopped being dad now, stopped being dog walker, or so something. So mine was always my coffee on the deck, and then I would come in to my workspace, and then I would start my workday, just almost in my head as if I was coming to my real workplace. Another thing that you can do as well, which is very similar, is to set some ground rules with those sharing your workspace. So your housemates, significant others, children, and pets, just to make sure that they know that, if the door is closed, this signals that I'm working and I need to, don't not be disturbed. And also, when you're doing this, it's also a good time to reach out to your company to find out what the rules are around taking breaks and making sure you actually take them. We're spending a lot of time online, especially when we're working remotely, and we probably wouldn't spend this amount of time on devices should we be at our workplace. So just talk to your managers, talk to your team about, what type of breaks you should be taking, but make sure that you do take them. Always ask or tell your team what they need to be able to do their job. We often found ourselves sitting on kitchen chairs or bar stools that were at the our bar leaners in the kitchen. So if you do need to reach out and say, well, I'm sitting a lot of the day, I need a chair, or these were good conversations to have as well. With this, try to keep a dedicated workspace. I know not all of us can set up a home office, and that's fine. But for me, I found it was really helpful that I set up a system where I could pack down and set up my laptop and keyboard and screen in a space that I then had for the rest of the day. It just, again, helped me get into that mindset of I'm working now. Another thing that I thought is really important when you're working remotely is show up for digital meetings, your online meetings, and not just show up, but be seen and be heard. It's a good time to talk to your friends and colleagues and the people you're meeting with if they're not putting their camera on. Some of us are just camera shy, but this far on, if we don't feel that we want to be on camera or we want to be heard, then there might be other issues. So it's just a really good time working remotely to have these discussions. And that's where, you can still have the discussion, but one-on-one, maybe at a later date. And over communicate and keep people informed of your schedule, your availability, and your workload. Discuss capacity or too much work and find ways to make this as really visible as possible. Now, on that last point of giving real visibility and transparency to your workload, there's another really good collaborative tool that I want to look into. So a collaboration tool should help 2 or more people accomplish a goal or an objective. And as I've said, there are endless lists of such tools for you to choose from. But again, remembering it's up to you to choose the best tool for the job based on your business needs and sometimes the budget as well. In saying that, a really good tool to get to know and get started is Trello. Trello is a virtual Kanban board that lets you track and manage the progress of a job or a project. You can use it for all kinds of tasks and projects. I've got a Christmas Kanban running at the minute so that I keep on track with presents and things that I need to cook for Christmas Day and what I need to buy and defrosting the turducken. Don't ask about the turducken. But Trello it really does its job well, and it's super easy to set up and use. It lists styles and layouts are intuitive and customizable. Plus, the free plan has more than enough functionality to suit almost all small businesses. So, before we talk more about Trello, we need to talk about Kanban. So, Kanban, it could be something that's really important and easy to implement for you or your team. So it's been around since the 1940s and was initially used to improve productivity and optimize the processes in factories in Japan. So Kanban is now used across sectors for small and large projects, even for studying or for planning trips. So there are three key components of Kanban. You have your board, which is the whole project. You have the lists, which are the stages in the process. And then you have in the lists are cards, and each card is a single task. So Kanban provides an instant overview of all project tasks and their progress. And also it will really highlight and identify any stalled work or any barriers. It's really simple to set up. And for every project or piece of work you have, you can split it into the tasks required to complete it. Then you have three very and clear areas: to do, doing, and done. Obviously, you can add other steps into these processes. You can have somewhere where you put your ideas or what you're thinking about. Usually we call it a backlog, but you can choose the titles. You can also add another list that's for review before you decide that something's completely complete, but it's a really good place. And how much easier can something be than to just have clear lists of tasks that's to do, doing, and done. Now, what you'll end up with is a board that looks a little like a project. It's a great tool. And so in your meeting, or you can have team meetings and show overall project Kanban board from Trello. Or a really good thing to do is when you start working remotely, or if you really need to work out how much people have got on their plate, you can get them to make a personal Kanban board. So that means that for every meeting, when they turn up and you share the screen, they share their screen. And you can see clearly what they have to do, what they're doing, and what's done. Now, this is not to check in on anyone. This is so that even though we're remote and we're not together, we can have a really good idea of how much people have on their plate. One of the other things that's really important is for each of the lists, so for your to do, your doing, and done, you set something called a work in progress limit. So this means you agree together, or even you just agree with yourself, that in each list I can have no more than maybe 9 or 10 items. That means you can't move an item on until something is completed and moved. Or what it also means is if you are working in a team, when you're looking at each other's boards, you can see if maybe there's something you can take that fits into your process or that you have capacity for. So it really is a good, really valuable tool. It's also important to list each task in order of priority. So Trello is really great for Kanban. Kanban's a super simple solution that you can use and is really good for visibility and accountability as well when you're working remotely. Now, Trello has numerous other functions which help provide a one-stop solution. You can add files to each card. So this is keeping all your documents or assets that you need for that task in one place. You can add a checklist within the card that can be ticked off as they're completed. This is especially helpful if more than one person is responsible for something within that task. Also, tasks can be assigned to people and notifications can be set so that when a card is moved from to do to doing or doing to done, everyone can be alerted. We have videos about this on the Digital Boost platform for you, which takes you through the whole process. So it gives you an introduction to Trello and some others. It shows you how to set up your first Kanban board. So remember to check that out as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are so many alternative tools just like Trello, but Trello is, for me, the easiest. And once you use it, you'll find, if you find you need more functionality, then look at moving maybe to Asana or Monday.com, or, it's always, you move on once you've established what your needs are, and then you can choose the best tool. At Digital Boost, we're using both Trello and Asana. Previously, I've used Monday.com and Otter, and I'm currently having a play with something called Mural. It's got great templates, and they're really fun and engaging. So all tools, physical or digital, have their limitations, especially when it comes to the free or cheaper ones. But most will do a really good job to get you started. And should you want more, then you need to look at pricing and plans. Remember, Digital Boost small business support team, so myself, Tip, and the entire team are here for just such discussions. Call us, message us, and set up a time to tell us about your needs. And together we can find the best tools for you to look at, to investigate, and to make that business decision before you implement them. We don't ever promote one platform or tool over another. We simply aim to educate you on some of the options available to you and your business. The final tool I'm going to finish on was a big hit with a lot of people at Digital Boost and the Mind Lab as well. It's called Miro. So Miro calls itself an online whiteboard, and it's just that, but a bit more. The best part is they're always adding updates and new features. And this can be said for Trello, Asana, and many of the other ones available. You can use Miro to visualize virtually anything. Create a mind map, put a flow chart together to map out a process. If you need to organize, know who's in charge with things, do an organization chart, any type of planning. It's easy, it's quick, and it's fun, and it's free. What you get for free is more than enough to get you started, as I said, before you make any plans about purchasing or buying a subscription to any of these tools. So I'm going to end. Please remember that Digital Boost has so many introductions on our site, how-to videos for these, and many, many other digital tools that can help you in your business. The how-to videos are mostly about 3 minutes long. They have a learning summary, which you can go back to later. So the learning summary is a PDF that you can find just below each video. It has sometimes checklists or video links that you can go to, or links so that you can actually find Trello and have a look at it. The app. The Digital Boost app, the app allows you to listen on the go to these videos, and there are also podcasts on the app. You can save these videos to your favorites. You can refer back to them later. The Digital Boost website is a great place to get exposure to some of these great tools, and then take the next step about getting set up. Always, always remember, you can reach out to the Digital Boost team for extra assistance, guidance, or even just a quick question if you get stuck. Also on the site are many offers for Digital Boost small businesses to access great deals from providers who also want to help you on your digital journey. So always check out the provider offers online to see maybe someone's offering to set some workflows up for you, or to discuss with you tools, or to give you a bit of help on your website. So it's always a great thing to set up. But also on the screen now, you can see a couple of links. So the digital tools, the main category. Within there, the two most useful from my presentation for today are the collaboration tools and productivity tools. And new and recently added to the Digital Boost website are the new playlists. And there's one called Work Remotely. So definitely head online and check that out. But now I guess I should hand over and see if there were any questions.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, there were a few questions for you on the socials. So I guess before that, I'll just quickly jump in as well. I've lost my Zoom. So I guess, yeah, that was really good, Victoria. Thanks for sharing everything. And then I guess I'll just add, like, it's really good to pick what works for you. Like, not everything will work for everyone. Like, even though your mate might, stand by one tool, it's really important that you figure out what works for you and not your business. Because, yeah, I guess everyone's different. And was it? Oh yeah, and also the video calls and all these other like Trellos and stuff. They're really good at reducing emails. So if there's an email chain, we've all been in those that go on for far too long, like nothing really happens. Like sometimes it's just like, hey, let's jump on a video call. And I say video call because, like you can kind of read like people's faces, people's like, it's more in person, I guess, than a regular call because you can read, facial expressions, like, even hand gestures, and then I recommend them over like regular calls most of the time, unless it's like a quick question. But yeah, I guess just make the most of them. Like you definitely don't realize how much it can reduce all the junk emails, all the back and forths until you try it. So yeah, and I guess for our questions, Victoria, what are some good and bad experiences that you, maybe me as well, have had working remotely?
Oh my goodness. I guess being completely open, it would be just really getting into the swing, really sort of balancing work life. I think I mean I can't speak for others, but for me, once I step out of the door, usually in the non-COVID world, I then become the professional Victoria. I was a teacher or an outreach manager, and now working with the wonderful Digital Boost team. But I would sort of get into my car, and then the professional Victoria hat would come on, the mum hat would be off. I'd already have walked the dog at 9 a.m. So I think really for me, some of the biggest challenges were which hat to wear when. But I must say that for over COVID, all the teams that I've worked on, and I've been so very fortunate to come from the education tech sector and now Digital Boost, that I'm just surrounded by people who have knowledge and experience with these digital tools. And so for any problems or issues or to make things run better, they've always come up with solutions. So I've been very fortunate. I'm not sure it would be the same for all industries and sectors. I'm sure it's been a lot harder for many, but I feel very fortunate in that way. What about you, Tip?
Yeah, I guess like I came from a different stage where I worked in the office. So I think it was 2 weeks working in the office in my first like office job, and then we went into lockdown. So it was very different. But I guess like the hard part is, because although we all want to promote this work-life balance, it's sometimes if, someone else in your team or like, someone else you work with is, like who's sending you emails at like 9 p.m., and like you kind of like, even though like, you don't want to do that, you do feel like, oh, like, oh, like, are they like busy or something? And I guess it's kind of setting up those like, those clear expectations and having a chat, being like, hey, like, it's like maybe you've got your phone on just in case, emergency comes up, but sometimes, you don't want it like a question that can honestly wait till tomorrow come up. So I guess, I've learned that, it's really good to have clear expectations with like your team being like, hey, like, I finish at 5, I'm having dinner with my family between 5 and 7. And then I guess with flexible working, it is good because, say you finish at, 2:30, you pick up the kids, you take the dog for a walk, and then you come back, as long as you relay that to your team and, maybe you come back at 7:30, do another hour or two, just to make up that time, if your company allows it, right? Or, and I guess if you're a business owner, it's a good thing to let employees do, because it's quite a weird world now, especially, in lockdowns and everything. So
I would say for business owners, especially sole traders and people perhaps working on their own, to to be as kind to themselves when it comes to things like that as they would if they had a team of people to think about and plan out their day. Don't just think that they just need to keep going, but to sort of really consciously think about, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. I need to take this gap because, you know, I need to go to the dentist or I need to do something else. And then that will settle back in my mind because I know that I'll jump back online 7 till 9 or something. So for me, yeah, it's good for teams, but I hope everyone's being kind to themselves and thinking about, you know, the best tools they need for the job, but also, you know, their scheduling and how much they're working as well.
Yeah, totally. And I guess like just to end that one, there you can, and like almost all email platforms, you can set a delay on your email. So say like you are someone that, you know, takes the kids out and you do like, you know, work between 8 and 9, like that's completely fine. But, you know, for someone who might only work like 8 to 5 or something, that might stress them out getting an email at 9:30 because like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But what my old manager used to do, because she was like that, she would delay an email for 8:02 because not 8 o'clock, you know, she's like, just so it's not obvious, but definitely like delay your emails, you know, because, you know, although like it's fine, like it's just kind of just sending a message being like, hey, you know, like this isn't important, like there's no emails to look at, that's fine.
I absolutely agree about scheduling them, especially if you're working late. But also be careful how many emails you send. Because for a lot of us, if we do work in the evenings, you know, we're catching up on maybe a whole bunch of work. So even if you're scheduling them for 8:02 the next day, just remember that if you're scheduling 9 to 1 person for 8:02 the next day, that might be a little overwhelming when they open their emails. So yeah, again, it's, you know, when we think about working remotely, we're all about the tools and online and should we use Zoom and what platforms can we use? But also there's a lot of thought goes into it about the people that you're working with as well and the effect that everything has on them.
Yeah, cool, totally. And then I guess for my good thing about working remotely is I guess it's kind of opened up more like talking to like you can connect with people overseas a lot more, like different, you know, different people, and it's a lot more normal, I guess, you know, because I guess before like we did do that, but you know, it was less common, and now like, you know, you can talk to someone in Australia, like you can talk to someone in Europe really easily. I guess time zone's a bit hard, but that is a good segue to our next question is, do you have any advice on working with people in different time zones? Have you ever had to do that before, Victoria?
Oh, I have, and I'm also from the UK, so I have to always negotiate my mum and sisters and other family as well, and cousins in Australia, which Australia, I often think that it doesn't, we don't think of the time difference so much, but when you're fitting them in with others, all I would say is, again, it's all going to come down to your scheduling. Try and map out ahead of time, you know, who you need to connect with that week, especially if it's regular meetings, and then just fit them in. It can work. I know I have a husband that, you know, has board meetings with a team in South Africa twice a week. So they have to schedule them. I think it's like 5:30 p.m. in New Zealand is their sort of maybe just when they're getting up and they need to get up a bit early. So maybe like 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. So it's all going to come down to your planning and scheduling, and, you know, use your tools, whether you're on Gmail and Google Calendar, or you've got Outlook running, or I mean, tip. What was the scheduling appointment app that we started to use? That Calendly?
Yeah. So there's a really cool app called Calendly something. I'll put a link in a second, but yeah, that's really cool because you like, instead of being like, hey, like, you know, what time are you free? You're free, like, I'm free 8 to 4 Thursday, you know, 9 to 3 Friday. Oh no, you know, it's like, instead of all that back and forth for finding it, you know, you can just say, hey, like, this is my calendar. So it syncs to your Google or your Outlook calendar, and then you send them a link, and then it says, you know, say you've got a meeting between 9 and 10 every day. it will, block that time out, and then say you're free at 10 to 3 on Tuesday, people can book that time. And you can also set it so, say you never want to do a meeting after 3 p.m., right? Because, that's your focus time, and maybe that's like the kids are around, right? So you can set it so you only accept meetings in 10 to 3 and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's really flexible. So definitely recommend giving it a try.
I recommend that. I always think of it as sort of making myself into almost like a booker batch, and that you can only access me, you can only get me when it's available, because I've blocked out the other times. The other thing I would definitely say, for when you're working with people in different time zones, but it's so important that you should do this anyway, is always have a clear purpose for your meeting, and only take up the time that you're going to need. So if you plan your meetings, what you need to discuss, and especially if you can set even the tiniest bullet pointed agenda, and make sure that people know what's going to be discussed, so that they know about anything they need to research or bring to the meeting. I was always taught POP. So every meeting should pop. So it's good anyway, and it's funky, but POP is, it needs to have a clear purpose. What's the purpose of the meeting? O is for what's the outcome that you want? What's your objective? And then the final P, POP, last P is what's the process that you're going to go through? So that's like your agenda. So make sure you have a clear purpose, you know what outcome or the objective you want, and how you're going to get there through your process. So working across different time zones, or just, I know I've got so many friends that have back-to-back Zoom meetings from maybe 8 a.m. till almost 5 p.m. And I truly believe that if they manage the meeting content a little bit more, they could have more spaces and get more done. So I think it really does come down to that as well.
Cool. We had one more question, which was like, thoughts on social media with your work team? Thoughts on social media with your workmates? Should you not?
Oh, that's interesting. So when I was just going through the presentation for today, I did add in the little bit about sometimes you're just going to need to pick up the phone or just send a text message. I had this experience myself yesterday, that we use different communication tools, collaboration tools, but especially over the holidays, we're getting ready for the holidays. Some people have already gone, some businesses have shut down, some are still running. It's hard to know who's around. So at times like this, and out of normal hours, sometimes you just need to pick up the phone. But for me, I often like to speak to people about what social media they use, especially businesses, because you can tell if they're quite active on social media. And if you ever need to get a question answered, you don't bother calling, you're not going to email, you're just going to Facebook message them. Or I know there are certain colleagues and friends of mine that you got to get on Discord. To be honest, you got to get in Discord if you want contact, if you want to get in touch with them, because that's the only one they're seeing regularly. So yeah, social media with friends and colleagues. I personally don't tend to use social media. My social media, my LinkedIn is professional. My Facebook is for keeping in touch with small business groups, and then there's a separate part for like my family overseas. But I tend not to use it. I've got plenty of other tools and avenues to use with my work colleagues.
Oh,
but
nice.
definitely, if you need action and you want questions answered quickly, like I needed to know opening hours and I couldn't find it on someone, I just Facebooked them and they came back to me straight away. So yeah, it's a good tool.
Nice. Cool. Nice. That's all our questions. So
I will also say I see the comment from Dean in the chat. So when we were talking about getting making sure you get dressed for work. I know so many of us either didn't get dressed when we were working at home and then only got dressed at the top half. But again, that comes back to, you know, getting in that mindset, setting up your workspace, even if it's something you pack up and unpack every morning. But I completely agree. And I'm sure there's been lots of research around the fact that you get ready. But in all honesty, a lot of businesses used to have an almost dress down Friday. And I would say that in businesses and workplaces that have like casual dress Fridays, not as much work gets done on those days. I would absolutely guarantee it. Also got another comment and suggestion from Dean. I find turning off notifications off on my phone over the weekend helps, so I can check when I'm ready and not send replies. Absolutely. I'm not sure about the drunk, but I couldn't agree more. I think especially for small business owners, you're on call all the time, but you need to be kind and just switch off. I've been there with you. I've been walking up steps at about 10 p.m. on a Christmas Eve to pick up a trampoline for my daughter and still taking calls about a booking from someone, because when you're the business owner, and sometimes even if it's just you, you're the receptionist, you're the administrator, you're everything. So be kind and turn those notifications off. Schedule it if you want to, just have that clear gap of 2 or 3 hours, but definitely on weekends. And you know, as long as you communicate with your customers or your colleagues that this is the time you're not available and when the next time you will be available, I don't think there's any question about that.
Cool, nice. Thanks for sharing everything, Sarah. It's really, you know, helpful hearing from like experience as well. So I think, you know, everyone who's joined on all our platforms is really going a lot. We've got some good questions, and yeah, I guess you know, hit us up on support@digitalboost.co.nz if you have any questions about anything, but you know, want to set up any of these tools, or you know, even send us a Facebook message. You know, we're open to all forms of communication, and you know, catch us tomorrow where we're talking about, you know, how to like, you know, zone out, how to like relax, you know, just like simple tips and tools, and you know, we'll share experiences as well. I think it's a good kind of way of doing it. And yeah, it's really nice talking to everyone, honestly. All our Digital Boost users,
Perfect. Great, and definitely tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a good week. We're here at 10 o'clock every morning, in the absence of the wonderful Anna Mari. But yeah, we're having great fun, and it's a great way to tell you more about the Digital Boost support team too. Okay.